you bow on everyone. It is a mess. Hold on. Welcome back to Beyond the Northern Wall. I have too many things around me that I didn't get to organize. My mic's all the way over here. I just realized it as we started. Hello, welcome to Beyond the Northern Wall, your weekly talk show with me, your host, Kayla Malari. It's been a day. There's a lot of things going on. Today, we start a brand new series. We just finished the anime series last week, and today we are starting the comic series. Where am I looking? Where's my camera? We have a lot of things today, but before I get started, there's a couple of things I want to say and do so I don't forget. One, I have 2 birthday shout outs to 2 comrades. One, happy birthday, Katie Hilborn. I think Katie's in the comments. And then happy birthday to Brooke Cam. Happy birthday, y'all. Birthday people. Y'all Pisces, y'all Pisces. All the Pisces all up in here. So, happy birthday, y'all. Second, I see something very interesting behind me. What is this? It's a water bottle. That's what it is. Core has collaborated with where's the camera? Oh gosh. The Coldest Water to these amazing water bottles. We are sponsored by the Coldest Water for these awesome bottles. The light's too bright. There we go. It's this beautiful Hanji yellow, first of all. Okay? And I think the coolest part about this, because it's pretty awesome, is, well, bam! Personalized. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to throw the link up. You can buy your own Core Dance Crew Coldest Water bottle. Part of the proceeds go back to the Core, but also this water bottle's kind of bomb, but also kind of difficult. So what is the Coldest Water? It has technology to keep your water at its coldest possible point. I can attest to that because I put ice in here like 3 days ago, and when the water goes in, it kind of melts it, and then it refreezes, and now I can't get my straw in. See this? This is my straw. It won't go in because the ice won't melt. It's been 3 days. So if you like really cold water with ice the water is really good, but I just want to get my straw in, but the ice won't melt. So talk about a weird problem to have. So I'll throw that link up at the end. Coldest Water coming at ya in Hanji yellow. I mean, who doesn't want a nice yellow water bottle? I like the color yellow. It reminds me of one of our dancers, Chibs. She loved the color yellow. So that's going to sit right here so y'all can look at its beauty and grace and wonder on its face. Anyways, those 2 things out of the way, welcome to the beginning of the comic series. Now, what is the comic series for Core Beyond the Northern Wall? Despite me cosplaying as Hanji, and that being, quite honestly, one of my most iconic cosplays, and despite the Core really attaching to the Attack on Titan persona and almost doing everything anime related, I actually don't watch as much anime as probably our other Coresmen. I mean, I do watch a good amount, but I think a lot of our other Coresmen are more anime centric than I am. They know that for me, it's mostly about the comic books. Like, okay, the movies and all this stuff, yes. But the comic books, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, that's where I live. That's where my brain goes. Since I was a kid, the very first comic books I ever read were the Archie comics. Yes, Archie, Veronica, Betty, Jughead, Cheryl Blossom, Josie and the Pussycats, Marmaduke, and Midge. That was the first fandom I guess I was ever really a part of, other than Super Mario on Nintendo. And I used to read the Archie comics all the time. Cut to years later, when we're at LA Comic Con, and my soulmate, Sonali, told me that I needed to watch the show Riverdale on the CW. And I was like, Riverdale? And in my head, I was like, that sounds really familiar. Isn't that what it's called in the comic books, the Archie comics? I didn't know it was the Archie comics come to life. So when I watched Riverdale, I was like, oh my God. I mean, Riverdale's insane and not well written at all, but that's fine. It's still enjoyable, and it's Archie and the gang. So that's where my first comic book started. And then when I was younger, as I started to get older, I started to delve into DC and Marvel. Here's the problem, though. The characters for the DC and the Marvel comic books, by the way, DC stands for Detective Comics. So when we say DC Comics, we are literally saying Detective Comics comics. Detective Comics basing off of Batman, even though technically Action Comics, which was a Superman title, was kind of like, no, it wasn't even the original. Detective Comics were the first one, so Batman was the original. It's really weird. But for some reason, DC goes by the Batman title. That's odd. Anyways, those comic books were a little, how do I say this? Not exactly kid appropriate on the covers. The women were always very scantily clad and quite busty, and the men were just bulging everywhere and also quite scantily clad. So I used to take the superhero comic books and like hide them in my Archie comic books and read them. I don't think anyone would have ever gotten mad at me. My mom and my dad and my sister, we all read consistently. We would always go to the bookstore and read together. So I'm pretty sure they wouldn't, I don't know. I always hid it. So who knows? So I used to slowly hide my love for comic books. Then as I got older into like middle school and high school, I was mostly just in books in general. And I read so many books. And then it wasn't until college and adult life did I really delve face first into comic books. When I first met Matt, our Commander Irwin, he had the entire Civil War arc from Marvel. I delved into that and I loved it. Civil War is probably one of my favorite arcs in Marvel. Second only to Avengers versus X-Men. And we're going to get to all those way later. As a lot of people know, I love Marvel. The MCU, as in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also the MCEU, the Marvel Cinematic Extended Universe, but also the Marvel comic books. I really love what Marvel has done. I love what they've created. I love that X-Men was their way of connecting to the ostracized group, to the minority groups. I love that Avengers was always a little bit more complex than just your well-to-do straight arrows. I love all the different space groups and the local groups and the difference between Avengers versus, say, the Defenders. I love Young Avengers. Oh, do I love Young Avengers. So I love Marvel. I also very much love DC. I think I loved DC before I loved Marvel. Because Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, they're very, very iconic. Not to say that Captain America isn't, but you know when you are a kid and you first hear Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, it means something to you. There's something so legendary about the DC characters. My problem is DC as a whole currently isn't really taking care of their characters. Not to say anything against the DC universe, the DCU, the DC Cinematic Universe, but they are terrible. I'm sorry. I know the CEO is a woman and we're supposed to support women. This has nothing to do with her being a woman. Whoever's in charge of DC in movies and television, they need to stop. I'm just going to say that. They need to stop. And I'm going to be very passionate about this today because I'm very passionate about comic books. DC deserves better. They just deserve better. Marvel's doing great. Title-wise, comic book-wise, movie-wise, show-wise, they're doing great, sweetie. They don't need help. DC needs all of our love. Dark Horse is just there. I read it for the Buffy seasons and like every now and then maybe like Fable or something. And then we have Walking Dead out there. That's a whole nother thing. Anyways, that was where I fell into, was the DC comics and the Marvel comics as an adult and really started to collect them. I have a nice, pretty decent collection right now. And I love to support my local comic book store. So if you can too, always support your local comic book stores, because comics, at least in trade paper or in hard copy, is not necessarily a dying industry, but it's a dying industry, especially because comics can go digital a lot of the times. It's not the same as manga. It's not the same as anime. It's not the same as everything. Comics are something very genuine and different. So if you can, support your local comic book store. What we're going to talk about today for part 1 of the comic series is something I feel very passionate about because Oh, Toto, you fell. Toto went down. Toto can't handle it either. I hate, I don't use that word lightly. My hair is going crazy. I hate the new 52 of DC. All of Core knows this. All of Core knows that I hate the new 52. I hate it with a burning passion. And do you know why I hate it? Well, I'm going to tell you why. What, first of all, is the new 52? I had to write notes out in order to make sure.
One of the things I learned when it came to...
Ellen. It just came out of nowhere. That's an old clip. I wrote notes out so that I didn't get lost in my venture into why I hate the new 52. So, where is this? There it is. Look at you. All right. So, first and foremost, what is the new 52? The new 52 is, or was, back in 2011, DC's revamp of the entire line of ongoing monthly superhero comics following Flashpoint, which was a crossover title arc. So a lot of times comic books do like the big crossover. Civil War is a big crossover arc. Avengers versus X-Men was a big crossover arc. Infinite Crisis in DC is probably one of the most iconic crossover arcs where it goes over all the titles and it involves every single character in the universe. Flashpoint was the latest crossover arc that actually revamped the entire DC universe. And then it was the debut of 52 new series in September of 2011 with new first issues of existing titles as a partial reboot. Now, do I have a problem with reboots? No, I don't have a problem with reboots. You have to do reboots because sometimes it's hard to get new people into the comic book fandom without having them go all the way back to the very beginning. If I went back to the very beginning of DC, like Teen Titans, I'd have to go through Silver Age and Golden Age of Teen Titans. I don't want to read Teen Titans from the beginning. No offense, I don't want to read Teen Titans back when Dick Grayson was Robin. I know that time. I know Dick Grayson as Robin. I know first generation Raven. I got all that. I personally really like the Teen Titans after Dick Grayson grew up, became Nightwing, and went off to be the Outsiders. And then Raven, I can't even say spoilers because all this stuff has been out since like the 80s. Raven went away and she died, but then she was reborn again, and that's where the whole Raven Beast Boy thing came out. And Cyborg and Starfire were kind of like the main adults of Teen Titans, and Tim Drake, my favorite Robin, my favorite superhero of all time, was the leader of Teen Titans. That's the Teen Titans that I know and love in the comic books. So am I going to go back into the 90s and read Golden Age of Teen Titans? No, I don't want to. I don't like that one. That's the one where I'm not going to get into it. I was going to start it. I'm not going to get into it. Why I hate Dick Grayson. It's fine. I'm not going to go back that way. So a lot of times reboots happen. Trigon series. Raven, Trigons, ends Teen Titans, and then it kind of restarts itself with Cyborg and Starfire restarting Teen Titans. Dick Grayson moves on. Tim Drake comes in as the current Robin. That's like a partial reboot. That's what we're talking about here. I get partial reboots. You have to have them. In Marvel, if we didn't have a partial reboot, we wouldn't have the Ultimates comics and the Ultimates worlds, and in Ultimates is where we got Miles Morales and Riri Williams. Like, could you imagine not having a Miles Morales? Reboots are essential to get, one, new characters in there without having to rewrite the entire continuity and backtrack and retcon everything. It's a way to bring them in where they've kind of already been there, or you don't have to really explain why they've been missing this whole time. And also it's a great way to get new readers into the comic books without having them have to take the whole journey from ground zero. So, reboot of the DC universe, it was time. So that's what the new 52 was. It was supposed to be this way to kind of restart Batman, Superman. Let me see if I can, where are all those titles? They're all right here. They were redoing a lot of titles on here. The Detective Comics, and then they started a whole slew of Batman ones. Like Batman Inc. came in there. Batgirl, oh, that was bad. Action Comics, which is Superman's title, Suicide Squad is, but Teen Titans was bad. God, I don't like any of these. I liked them before. I don't like the revamp, but these were all the titles that they ended up restarting. And they restarted cleanly because of Flashpoint. Now, other thing, what was Flashpoint? Well, I'm glad you asked. Nah. Flashpoint was Flashpoint Paradox, where Reverse Flash Thawne went back in time to alter the timeline. He altered it and kind of flipped everything around. Barry Allen ends up waking up into this. Barry Allen, if you guys know, is the Flash. Barry Allen wakes up to the world not being what it is. His mother's alive, which, if you know Flash's origin of Barry Allen, his mother was murdered. His father was in jail in the real timeline and dead in the current one. I don't even remember. But everything's different. He's not Flash. Didn't experience the experiment that turned him into Flash, so he's not Flash. He goes to Gotham City, but he's retaining all the memories of when he was Flash, so it was really confusing. He goes to Gotham City to find some answers. Finds Batman, because here's the thing. We forget Batman is so smart. He's the Sherlock Holmes of the DC universe. He's so intelligent. So Barry Allen, who's a forensic scientist, goes out and he has to go. He was already a smart guy. And he's like, I gotta go find another smart guy to help me figure this out. So Flashpoint Paradox was where he goes out. Bruce, okay, this is what's happening in Flashpoint. The altered timeline. Bruce was murdered in the alley instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne, which made it so that Thomas Wayne became Batman, and then Martha went crazy and became the Joker. But Thomas Wayne was like a dad. So when Bruce became Batman, he was a kid. His parents were murdered in Crime Alley. And he was like, I am filled with righteous justice, and people are bad, and I gotta be good. And so he became the Dark Knight. He became a Batman with a sense of justice. Thomas Wayne was like a man. He was a father. And his son was killed in front of him. And he's like, I'm already old and cynical. I'm not about this righteous justice. I'm all about vengeance. So here comes Batman. Let me see if I can find that picture of Thomas Wayne's Batman. Is pretty intense. This is Thomas Wayne Batman. Yeah, did he have a gun? He had a gun. Thomas Wayne Batman was packing heat, okay? He was kind of great. He was so dark and broody. He's as dark as broody as DC wants Batman to be in the movies. Which, if they wanted that, they should just have Thomas Wayne Batman. He's hardcore parkour. And so many other things were going on. I know that in Flashpoint, the Atlanteans and the Amazons were at war. Aquaman and Wonder Woman were going at it, but also they had an affair with each other. It was, oh gosh, it was so many things. My favorite thing of Flashpoint, I'm sorry, it's not funny. But I think it's funny. It's not funny. Is Superman was abducted as a child into government, and he was held captive and experimented on. So he actually never saw the sun. And as you know, as a Kryptonian, he needs the sun for his strength and to grow. He's like a plant. He was held in an underground facility. So this is Flashpoint Superman. It's not funny that he's decrepit or anything. It's just funny because we made this joke a long time ago on Core. And Flashpoint Superman. But that's just in my head movies. This is the real. So Flashpoint was super epic. There was so many things going on. And they had to set the timeline back because apparently butterfly effect over time, that one instance of Reverse Flash affecting the timeline made it so that the Justice League wasn't a thing. All those heroes weren't a thing. So Barry Allen goes to meet Thomas Wayne, redoes the experiment. Basically, this is all in a nutshell. Go read it. It's really, really good. He gets his powers back. He goes back in Time Force, goes back in time, and resets everything. The thing is, when he's in the Time Force, there's 3 timelines of all the different universes of DC. What's happening is they converged into one, but in that convergence, 10 years of all the characters was erased. And so that set up for a clean reboot of New 52. It sounds a little complicated, but honestly, in terms of a comic book reboot, Flashpoint did it nicely. They're like, cool, we're going to erase 10 years. It makes sense. We're mashing everything together. We're going to keep the best parts of everything. And that way we can start off these new titles with new origin stories, but basically updated ones so that we can, we're not stuck in these old ideas of what it should be to be a hero. Yes, there is a movie of Flashpoint. I will say they're missing a lot of things in it. Read the book. Read the comic book. Every time there's a movie adaptation of something, even like The Killing Joke, to me, the movie adaptations don't do it justice. League. It doesn't do it justice. There's elements about Thomas Wayne and all of Gotham. Flashpoint is the main one, and then it branches off into the other titles. You gotta read all of it. You have to read these crossover events. They're amazing. So, I love Flashpoint. That's a thing. Kayla loves Flashpoint and was ready for this New 52 reboot. Now, before we get into the actual content of the New 52, this was one of my major problems. The DC DC corporate as a whole, when they decided to put creators in charge of the New 52 titles, there was a lot of issues. One, female creators went from 12% down to 1%. So, at that point, women just don't have any hope. At that point, I was like, what? How do you go from already a minimalized 12% to 1% of women in the creative aspect of these comic titles? Also, whoever was in charge of DC literally got all of their writers and all of their artists together. And they're like, I like your art and I like your writing. And we're going to put you together and we're going to throw you to this title over here. So they kind of handed out titles rather than looking for writers that were looking to write for specific titles or looking for artists wanting to draw for specific titles. So what you got was you got writers and artists working together who had never worked together before. So they didn't know if they had an understanding of where they wanted the story to go. And two, you had a lot of creators on titles where they had no idea what the origin story was for these characters. Yes, that was said at actual panels. A lot of them were like, yeah, I've never read Animal Man before. Don't know the origin story, never read the comic books. I am now in charge of the entire storyline of Animal Man. And you're like, wait, what? You don't even know the title that you're writing for? I mean, granted, it's a reboot, but that's weird. Like, a reboot doesn't mean, well, I don't know what's going on, so willy-nilly I'm going to do whatever I want. No, you have to have some knowledge of the source material. Then what's the point? So already I was like, oh my God, you have people in charge of things that they don't even know what they're in charge of. We've seen it happen so many times. We've seen it happen in movies and television shows and our favorite cartoons and animes. If you don't care about the material, it's not going to come out good. Which is what happened. So, we're going to get into why I really don't like the New 52 beyond those things. Because already, with what I said, I don't like the New 52. Like, on the business end, I was like, what a terrible business plan. They were just like, throw it in a pot. Let's see what comes out. No, you put some care into one project. Put all of your care into one project. You don't just try to... It was corporate greed, honestly. They're like, how efficient can we do this? And blah, blah, blah. Let's just move everyone around. First and foremost, the over-sexualization and repeat offenses towards female characters. You would think in the year 2011, we would have gotten past that whole idea where female superheroes have to be sexy and only sexy. Sexuality in female characters is okay to have. Comfortability of your sexuality in female characters is okay to have. Branching off over the norms of cisgender anyone is good. Diversity is good. Here's the problem. That's not what they did. What they did was they ruined characters. I'm sorry. If you like in any capacity I don't have a picture of her. The revamp of Harley Quinn was wrong. Harley was not about hot pants and a corset that doesn't fit her. Harley was a genius, a psychotic, crazy genius. She was a psychiatrist with a doctorate who was always underestimated and who was always put down, and then found and flourished herself with the Suicide Squad, with Poison Ivy, became someone so comfortable with who she was as a person, and was so much more than what you saw. What she wore was never meant to just be a hot girl in less clothing. So even in Arkham Asylum, in the video game, when you see her dressed up as the nurse, she's dressed kind of like an anime character. She's like got the Lolita skirt and everything. It's because she hides crazy gadgets and things in her clothing. She always has something up her sleeve. If she doesn't have sleeves, how could she have anything up her sleeves? They literally put her in hot pants and a corset that doesn't make sense. And I was like, and then they changed her coloring too. And I was like, what? That's not Harley. That's not anything about Harley. Also, her relationship with the Joker, she had long since left that behind. That's why she was with the Suicide Squad. She was an anti-hero. She had left that abusive relationship and she'd gone to a healthy relationship with Poison Ivy, and they erased that. I was so mad. Also, they did my girl. Okay. They did my girl Starfire. They did Coriander so dirty. If you know me, you know I don't like Nightwing. I'm sorry, I don't like Dick Grayson. Why don't I like Dick Grayson? No, is he a great Robin? Yes. Is he a great leader? Yes. Is he a great superhero? Yes. Is he a great older brother to Tim Drake? Yes. Is he a great older Robin to the rest of the baby Robins? Yes. The only reason I don't like Dick Grayson is because he did my girl dirty. He did Coriander dirty. Do you know why? Because he was playing Babs and Corey at the same time. Do you guys know he left Corey at the altar? He was supposed to marry Starfire, and he left her at the altar to go back to Babs, who he was basically with the entire time. And Starfire was devastated. It was why she turned into Blackfire, is because she was so heartbroken over losing Dick Grayson on her wedding day. You guys, that's the only reason I hate him. Because he did Corey dirty. And now that is why I hate DC, because they did my girl dirty. Do you see this? All right, so we have 2003's Teen Titans Starfire. Okay, and then we have the 2013 Teen Titans Go. Cool. We have the DC heroes. We have the television version. Now you look at the comic books. Do you look at the comic books right here? Do you see this? Do you see comic books back in the 80s? It's very much typical Starfire. Then we go to 2011 Starfire. And then we switch from 2015, 2017. Look at the 2011 Starfire. That's the new 52 Starfire. She was taken out of the Teen Titans title in New 52. And she was placed in Red Hood and the Outlaws. Over here. See this? Where's this mayhem? She was placed in Red Hood and the Outlaws, which was basically Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire together. She was diminished as a character into only being the powerhouse, who she barely said anything in this title, and over-sexualized in everything. I think she was having relations with both boys at one point, but really didn't have an opinion about it. Now, Starfire isn't shy about her sexuality, which was always cool. She was always very comfortable in her own skin and very comfortable with being a strong woman. But she also had a personality. When she was in Teen Titans with Cyborg, they ran Teen Titans together. They were respected heroes together. The Justice League respected her, Teen Titans respected her, the Outsiders respected her. Everyone did. She had a personality. She was multifaceted. She had her relations with everyone, but it was less about her relation and romantic entanglement with Dick Grayson and more about her camaraderie and her hero persona with Cyborg, with Beast Boy, with Raven, with helping these young heroes to find their place in the world. And then New 52 shoved her into Red Hood and the Outlaws, and she became a mindless sex symbol. It was the worst. It was the worst. And so many people criticized it. I stopped reading the title because I was like, really? You're really going to do Corey dirty like that? Like, oh my God. The only panel she ever had was her flying by, blasting something, or her like half naked, or just like fully naked for no reason. No reason at all. Mostly went to Jason Todd and Arsenal, which I always have an issue with the way they handled Arsenal and everything. They didn't do him any better in here. I don't know what they were going for in this title. He's like mean, wears a trucker hat, kind of snarky. I don't know who that guy is. Let's not. This was a terrible title. Don't read it. It's bad. And then of course Catwoman. They just reduced Catwoman. Again, she uses her sexuality to her advantage, but in the new Catwoman title, it's not even clever. You can probably tell the gender, and I'm going to be a little mean on that. Could probably guess the gender of who is writing the Catwoman title. So, not really great. Already didn't like that. So, New 52 ruined Starfire, Harley, and Catwoman for me. Not only that, they did a whole erasure of some fan favorite characters, and I took it super personally because they literally erased my 3 favorite characters. I don't have a very short list. I have a very particular list of characters that I like. And 3 of my favorites were completely wiped off the slate in New 52. First and foremost was Wally West. You guys, Wally West was my favorite Flash. I like Barry Allen. Not that happy about, I'm not the biggest fan of Bart Allen. I was always about Wally West. I think, and I agree with a lot of different people who read his origin story, he had a great origin. Being the first Kid Flash, apprenticing under Barry Allen, growing into his own with the Teen Titans, and then becoming Flash and earning his spot in the Justice League. I think Wally had a great alternative. He wasn't necessarily chosen by the Time Force the way the Allen family was, but he found his place in it. And it made him someone who is super relatable. When the New 52 started, Wally West was gone. Inexplicably gone. Barry Allen at that point, pre-52, Barry Allen had retired. Wally West was the current Flash on the Justice League, and Bart Allen was current Kid Flash on Teen Titans. When New 52 started, Barry Allen had reassumed his role as Flash because of Flashpoint. Bart was back, it was Impulse. There was no Kid Flash at that point. He was Impulse and then he became Kid Flash eventually. And there was no Wally West. For 2 years, there was no mention of Wally West. And I was like, wait. They didn't even explain why he was gone, because those 10 years of DC character history were erased. He was just gone. So many people were unhappy. I was unhappy. I love Wally West. And many people were like, why did you take away a character that had nothing but great interaction with people and with the audience? And so DC was like, all right, we need to bring Wally West back. But because we're backtracking a little bit and 10 years are erased, he'd be back in the teen fold. But also, there was a call for more diversity in the New 52, which a lot of people did, respectably and well. So they were like, all right, let's redo Wally West and let's give them Wallace West. Wallace West was biracial, where Iris's brother ended up having a biracial son. Was there anything wrong with Wallace West? No. He was supposed to be the replacement for Wally West. I thought he was a great character. The only problem was he wasn't Wally West. So it was weird because I was like, you could have just had this new character in there. I don't know why it was Wallace. They weren't allowed to call him Wally. He was great, but his personality wasn't the same as Wally. His origin story wasn't the same as Wally. And a lot of people had issues because Barry Allen found him being a delinquent and doing graffiti. And you're like, really? You couldn't be any more... why couldn't Wally just be biracial? Why couldn't he just be black and have the same storyline? Why didn't we have to create a new delinquent storyline for him? So a lot of people were like, who had issues with it. Some people were like, oh, maybe it's because they're racist. No, I think a lot of people actually had great interaction with this Wallace West. And you kind of saw a reflection in that in the television show. But I thought it was great that they kept him and they didn't get rid of him. But still, we were missing Wally. Wally and his origin story. Wally and his entire personality. A lot of people don't know this, but in the original Teen Titans, oh gosh, who was the writer? Starts with an M. Can't remember. Golden Age of Teen Titans. Raven and Wally actually were the hot item back in the day, before Raven and Beast Boy were together. And it was actually a very sweet interaction. Having Wally be this sort of grounded character towards Raven's more darker edged history and origin. And then it was a very sad ongoing, because Raven's an empath. She didn't know if she was projecting her feelings on Wally, and she wasn't sure if Wally's love for her was actually genuinely his feelings or hers. So they actually separated because she didn't feel okay. And it was sad because there was this whole beautiful panel where Wally's like, no, but my feelings for you are real. And she's like, I can't know that because I can't control my own empathic abilities. And Trigon, my father, is messing with things. So I think it's just safe for you to stay away from me, but know that I really care for you. And I was like, oh, that's so sad. So just Wally in general, he was such a caring, different character to Barry. He was very different from the Allen family because he wasn't necessarily meant to inherit the Time Force. So not having him was weird. They eventually brought him back. New 52 technically ended with Rebirth and Convergence because a lot of people didn't like it, and I wonder why. And so the DC company was like, you know what, with Rebirth, let's give the audience what they were really waiting for, and let's give them Wally back. So Wally came back, and it wasn't like, I was super excited for it. It had been, 3 years at this point since we had lost Wally, and I was like, yes, he finally made it back. But I don't want you to get rid of Wallace. So they both exist in the continuity, which I am happy about. But I also don't understand why they couldn't bring diversity in, but keep the integrity of the character. Because we didn't like Wally because he was white. We liked Wally because he was Wally. If you wanted to give him a different ethnicity, then just give him a different ethnicity, but keep his origin story. That was my biggest issue. Was them trying to rewrite it. It was wrong. It was just bad. It's non-POC trying to write for POC. That doesn't ever work. You need someone with that mindset and experience to write it. But also, if you have a beloved character, don't get rid of the beloved character. So their handling of Wally, terrible. Their handling of Stephanie Brown. Do I have a picture of her? Oh, my girl Steph. Do y'all know who Stephanie Brown is? Did I not pull a picture of her? Oh, I'm so sad. Stephanie Brown was the Batgirl. Okay, wait. What's the best way to explain this? I'm trying to think. Okay. Two of my favorite characters. Hi, soulmate. Two of my favorite Batgirl characters were also benched during the New 52. Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. Who's Cassandra Cain? Cassandra Cain was the first Asian American or Asian character in the Bat family. Cassandra Cain was the daughter of two assassins, Lady Shiva of the League of Shadows and David Cain. She was raised by her father, David Cain, to not speak. He didn't teach her how to speak. He taught her to be the perfect weapon. She learned to communicate through body language. She learned to read people based on how they move and how they interact. She could read a person within seconds by the way they rolled their shoulder, and it made her the perfect assassin. She was the ultimate killer. But she was also brought up in a terrible household where she was tortured because she was trained to be a perfect killer and to endure a lot of pain. Batman ends up finding her. Batman ends up taking her under his wing. I think she was orphan at that time, and eventually he gives her the cowl so that she becomes the next Batgirl. She's Batgirl in tandem to Tim Drake's Robin. I loved her version of Batgirl because with her outfit, she sewed the mouth closed, because while Batman and Tim Drake really taught her how to communicate and helped her express herself more and brought out the empathy that was always sitting inside of her, she knew that when she was in battle, she had to rely on her skills of reading people and their body language to help her be the best fighter. So she ended up sewing the mouth closed, and that's why her face is mostly blacked out. I loved it because she was kind of an advocate for both the deaf and the mute community, showing that there was so much strength in understanding beyond verbal communication. I thought it was fantastic. It was so cool. She was my favorite, hands down favorite Batgirl. She was bomb.com. Even, it was funny because there was always the joke, because she was Batgirl and Tim Drake was Robin. Batman would be like, she's the better fighter, Tim, you know this. And he's like, I know. Everyone would make fun of Tim, that Cass was stronger than him and hands down the best fighter. He was just the best detective. So it was great because you got the two sides of Batman in his current kids. You got the world's greatest detective and you got the world's greatest fighter together. They're so sweet together. Anyways, she got benched in the New 52. Literally just not there. They mentioned her in Batman Inc. They're like, she's in Hong Kong being Black Bat. And then we didn't see her for another years. And I was like, are you kidding me? You gave me this great character and you're just gonna, you're just, why is she in Hong Kong? She's never been there before. Why would she go there? Oh, wait, it's because she's following under the League of Shadows and she's following this lead that's gonna, but Tim has tabs on her. No, it's because you guys are terrible and it's because she's Asian. You just sent her to Hong Kong. I hate you all. Then, after she got rid of her cowl, which was pre-52, she ended up giving the cowl and passing it on to Stephanie Brown. So, the Cass had her own Batgirl title. It did great. It was awesome. I think she was the first. Was she the first? I honestly think she was the first Batgirl to hold her own title. I can't be sure of that, but I'm pretty sure. And I remember reading that somewhere. She held her own title. It was awesome. Then there was the alleged death of Bruce, which was really him just going on sabbatical for a year. It was called 1 year. He left for a year and he passed the cowl on to Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson to take on Batman. Dick Grayson at the time was Nightwing in Bloodhaven, however you want to say it. So he came back to Gotham, took on the cowl of Batman. But Cass was like, no, I was Batgirl to Bruce. I can't be Batgirl to anyone else. That's not how it works. Her loyalty to Batman and to the Bat symbol was very specific. Ugh, and I just love her. So she handed it off to Stephanie Brown, who at the time was Spoiler. She's like, you have earned the cowl. You will be Batgirl to Dick Grayson's Batman, to Damian Wayne's Robin. So Stephanie Brown took up the Batgirl title and cowl. She added that purple stripe along the side to hail back to her time as Spoiler. She was fantastic. And I don't care what any of the other weeb nerd boys say, Stephanie Brown counts as one of the Robins. In the 3 months when Tim Drake did not take on the Robin cowl, his father had died by Captain Boomerang, and so Tim went on retirement. He's like, I can't do this, I'm too emotional, I can't be Robin. But Stephanie was just like Tim and said Batman needs a Robin. She took up the Robin cowl and Batman gave it to her as kind of a way to coerce Tim back into it. But Stephanie did her due. She was actually Robin for a legitimate 3 months. So I don't care what anyone says, she was the only female Robin. Boo frickety who. You could also say Kane was it, but that doesn't count. So she takes on the Batgirl cowl, and then New 52 started. Stephanie Brown's gone. Guess who's Batgirl in New 52? It was Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon took over the Batgirl cowl. She was the original Batgirl. She was great. She took on the solo title. The problem was they took her out of the chair. If you know Barbara Gordon's story, is during the Killing Joke, she is handicapped due to a bullet in her spine, ends up going into a wheelchair, becomes Oracle, was an advocate for heroes for the entire community of anyone with physical disabilities, became someone so powerful in the Bat universe from her wheelchair, and showed that she could still fight crime. She was everyone's guy in the chair. She was amazing as Oracle, and they took her away from that community and they put her back. They repaired her spine and put her back as Batgirl. And so many people are like, wait, no, what? Why? So there was just, in taking away Cass and Stephanie and giving the Batgirl title back to Barbara Gordon, I get where they were trying to go, but I don't think they did it well or accomplished what they did. If anything, they just took away advocates for minority groups that had found representation in superhero comics. So they went backwards from being progressive to being regressive and recessive, and it was terrible. I hated it. Also, they just benched Cass Kane, one of the best fighters. And how do they bring her back? Oh, they bring her back in Birds of Prey as not Cass Kane. I'm sorry. I watched the Birds of Prey movie. The kid the actress who plays Cass Kane, she's a great actress. I don't know what the writers were thinking. They literally just took the name Cassandra Cain and put it on an Asian girl. There's nothing about her that's Cass Kane. What was the point of calling her Cass? It's the same as what's the point of calling someone Superman if he doesn't fly, doesn't have laser eyes, doesn't wear the S, isn't Kryptonian? Then what if you just had a guy who just wore a cape, nothing else, but you call him Superman? Why call him Superman if he doesn't have any of the things of Superman? That's essentially what they did with Cass Kane and Birds of Prey. So Wally West, Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain, benched in New 52. Already hated it. Every day I went to Frank and Sons, or I went to the comic book store, and every new issue, I looked and I perused all the Bat issues, all the Action Comics, all the Flash, all the Justice League. Are they in there? They're not in there. Teen Titans, do they make a... No, Teen Titans was a whole other story. Let's talk about Teen Titans, y'all. We gotta get to Teen Titans. I love Tim Drake. Where is his picture? I love Tim Drake, okay? He's my favorite superhero of all time. He's my favorite Robin. Why? Because he was a different Robin than Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. He figured out who Batman was on his own, which, I mean, is not that hard for the rest of us, not in the comic book world, but apparently in the comic book world, nobody made the connection that Bruce Wayne was Batman, except this kid who was in high school, who associated a move that Robin did to something only the Flying Graysons could do. So he deduced that Dick Grayson was Robin, and then figured out, because he was the ward of Bruce Wayne, figured out that Bruce Wayne was Batman. He was just a kid in high school. So then, of course, he knows who Batman is. Dick Grayson moves on. Jason Todd became the Batman. Then Jason Todd died. And Bruce vowed that he would not have another Robin again. Tim Drake, who's just a kid, knew that that Batman needed a Robin, and he himself sought out to take up that cowl. He actually was also the very first Robin to legitimately be Batman's son. Prior to that, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd were just wards of Batman. Back in the day when wards were a thing. It wasn't until Tim Drake, until the era of Tim Drake, when times started to change and they're like, it's weird, people don't have wards anymore, and it doesn't really make sense, I guess, prudent wise in the whole concept of what Batman is. So they had that whole arc where Batman adopts all the boys. The first one he officially adopts, at least in the continuity, is Tim Drake. So he's the original son. Also, Ra's al Ghul only refers to one person in the entire world as the world's greatest detective, which is Batman. He's used that title once more to describe Tim Drake, and said that he's the only one who follows his father's footsteps in being the world's greatest detective. So Tim Drake is just hands down the smartest of the Robins. He may not be the strongest, he may not be the best fighter, he may not be the natural leader that is Dick Grayson, he may not be the hothead, hardcore rebel one that is Jason Todd, he may not be as strong as Cass Kane, he may not be as efficient at killing as Damian. He was downright the smartest Robin of them all. When he branched off and he left the Robin cowl, he took up the name Red Robin, and he had his own title pre-52. He was so cool as Red Robin, and he even paired with Cass Kane in one of the titles. I loved him as Red Robin. He was finding his own. He was building his own rep as a solo artist. He wasn't part of the Teen Titans anymore. He had graduated from there. I loved his time on the Teen Titans, and with, previous to that, Young Justice. He did great on it. He was grown up, living his best life. And then the New 52 happened, and what did they do? Well, they downgraded him, first of all. They brought him back into the Teen Titans fold. They kept his Red Robin name, and they made him into a douchebag. Literally, all of the sweetness and the kindness and the empathy that was Tim Drake erased, and he became this rich, spoiled douchebag in the New 52. Not to mention the inconsistency. All right. I had to write this down. According to Scott Lobdell, who was the first writer of the New 52 Teen Titans title, I don't like Scott Lobdell. Not many people do. Not many fans of it. No. Bum. He wrote, and, Tim Drake apparently wasn't ever Robin, according to Scott Lobdell. Hold up, wait a minute. Let me put some groove in it. 1 year after the debut of the New 52 Teen Titans title, Scott Lobdell said during the DC San Diego Comic-Con panel that, as far as he can recall, great sentence, Scott, Tim was never actually Robin. Despite the first issue of the New 52 Teen Titans clearly stating that he was. I have the original first issue, okay? Because when it first came out, I love Teen Titans. It's one of my favorite titles. Of course, I'm going to read it even especially if Tim Drake is the front runner, I still to this day am waiting for Timmy Drake to have his comeuppance in media. They just overlook him all the time. It's fine. He'll get his dues. But of course, he was the front runner of the Teen Titans. He was supposed to be the leader of the Teen Titans in the New 52. So excited. Open up the first issue. He talks about his time as Robin, but only alludes to it, and he's already moved on from that time. But there's clearly a panel where he's looking at a picture of him as Robin with Batman in it, saying that, and my time as Robin has taught me what I need to know to be Red Robin. Then at the panel, Scott Lobdell misspeaks. And so what does DC do? They completely recall the first issue to rewrite it and change it to follow his inconsistency. Y'all. Instead of him just saying, one, I don't know my own character's storyline. Like, I don't know my own main character's storyline. And two, I misspoke. Instead of doing that, instead of saying he was wrong, they recalled all of the issues and then redid it to follow his inconsistency. So as far as the New 52 was concerned, Tim Drake was never Robin to Batman. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That is the most spoiled thing ever. And I agree with a lot of the internet trolls, to be quite honest. I don't think Scott Lobdell's read a comic book since the 90s. He has no idea what's going on. He had no idea what was going on with the New 52. He had no knowledge of the Teen Titans. Completely destroyed my beautiful Tim Drake's character. Not to mention, remember that diversity that they were trying to bring into the New 52? Okay, well, here was their diversity. One, I never got a picture of him. Oops. I did love Bunker. If you know Bunker, he was, I think, part Hispanic, part something else. Flaming gay. He was awesome. He was a great superhero. I loved his attachment. He brought a lot of heart to the Teen Titans. He was one of the rare characters that could break through. I don't know why they gave Tim Drake in the New 52 like this stony exterior, this whole like cold persona where he's like, keep everyone at arm's length. I don't know why they did that. That's so not his character. But they did it, and Bunker was one of the few characters that Tim actually confided in and actually had a good connection with. I loved Bunker. I thought he was a great addition, great diversity, awesome. He always wore a pink button-up shirt, always looked good, like he always dressed well, and purple was his color. Oh, he was great. And then there were not so great additions. So Solstice was added to the Teen Titans pre-52. That Solstice is the one in yellow. The pre-52 version is this one, the one in yellow. She was of Indian descent. I think Indian and Pakistani, or maybe just Indian. I can't actually remember. She had powers of light that were reminiscent of the sun. But she had a lot of her culture imbued in her costuming and in her characterization and in her personality. It was a great way of adding more diversity, especially anything that's South Asian or Middle Eastern. So awesome to bring that in, especially during the time of what this was happening, 2010, 2011. Great that we had that representation. Well, they kept Solstice because she was such a good addition to the Teen Titans, but they turned into whatever this is. This version. So we get no actual facial features. We get no coloring. We get none of her cultural influence to it. I was like, what was this? She's stuck like this forever. I think there's one panel where like Trigon gives her an image of what she could look like, and they're like, oh, look it, she's a brown girl. And then they're like, nope, she's not a brown girl anymore. I was like, really? That's what we're going to do to her? She was beautiful. Yes, soulmate. Yes, Solstice was so cool. She was such a sweetheart. And she's a sweetheart still. I loved her romance with, I think it's Impulse, Bart. I was all for that. I was all for that shipping. But I also wish that they didn't stick with this character design for her. I was like, what? Really? We're really going to do that again? We're going to do Tiana as a frog again? Like, really, guys? Come on. And then, of course, there was the other... Where is she? Did I get a picture of her? Oh, it was the worst. Oh, you guys. Skitter! Okay. Why did they make Skitter such a terrible character? It's not... Of course, there was the buttheads who were like, it's because she was black. No, it wasn't. It's because she wasn't written well. She was a bug hero who was in a cocoon most of the time and then died. They literally didn't give any credit to Skitter as a character. They did nothing for her. Like, I was like, you have a perfect opportunity to add diversity into the Teen Titans and you're not going to take care of it again. But also, as is their handling of Tim Drake, they had no idea where to go with these characters. They created Skitter and then didn't know what to do with her. She had this whole storyline where she grew up with her sister, and I was like, oh, I'm excited for when they have the issue where they delve into Skitter's backstory. And then all of a sudden the culling happened, and then Skitter died. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Where was her backstory? They just stopped. They like got tired of it and they stopped and she was gone. And I was like, what? No. What? Why? Why did you do that? At least Wally West had a good character and storyline and they gave him something to work with. They didn't even try with Skitter. I don't even know why she was there. She was like friends with Bunker for 2 seconds and then Bunker was like, where'd she go? She was like metamorphosizing in a cocoon for a while. It was weird. And she would just like, he was like, she's shy. And Tim Drake's like, she's in an egg sack in my living room. And he's like, no, she just doesn't know how to do well with new people. And then she died. It's the worst. New 52 did not take care of any of, they had the intent to create more diversity, to create more connection with the audience, and they just didn't do it. And Danny the Street isn't exclusive to the New 52, but I just hate, do you see this? This is a hero. Danny the Street was actually brought in the 90s, but he was used a lot in Teen Titans New 52. He's a street. He's a street. He's a sentient street. In Teen Titans, he was like a kid who was experimented on with like, they did it in Young Justice. What did they call it? Metahuman. He was like a metahuman experimented on with like the culling and all that stuff. He was a sentient street. He was a street to anywhere. So he could be like a highway, or he could be like a cobblestone street like this. But he would just like, Tim was like, I know someone to get us out of here. He's like, Danny the Street. And Danny the Street was just a street. And I remember Bart was like, is he a street? And Tim was like, yeah, he's a street. And then he died. And it was sad. But it was just a deconstruction site. It was just a demolition site of a broken up concrete and brick street. And they're like, Danny's dead. And I'm like, wait, was he like a person? I hate Danny the Street. It makes no sense. Oh, I've wanted to cosplay as Danny the Street and just be a street at a con. Just be a street. Oh, why? I used to make fun of Booster Gold. At least he had a power. Danny the Street was a sentient street. What? Anyways, that's in a nutshell everything I hate about the New 52. It was just, I think it was a disservice to the opportunity of doing a complete reboot of the DC universe. Again, my greatest problem with DC is they don't take care of their characters. As was seen in the New 52, you had beloved characters that were POC, that represented minority groups, and you just disregarded them because you, had no knowledge of their proper source material. You had no idea what you were doing. That's how they've been constructing DC with their movies, with their media, with everything. There's just no consistency. There's no care being taken for them. I don't understand. And it was like for a while my dream to just infiltrate DC and like, can I just be a writer for you guys so I can just, I don't know, fix Tim Drake? Because why do you guys do him so dirty over and over again? There are DC materials that do great. I think the video games, the Arkham series, oh my gosh, if you want a great canon, yeah, it was pretty canon, a canon version of Batman in video games. The Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, was great. They brought Tim Drake in, and people were like, oh my gosh, Tim Drake is like shaved head and he's so buff. I was like, fine, that's fine. I think they did a reboot of his character well in that one. So there are ways to redo characters or to revamp them or recreate them in a newer image to appeal to a different audience or to find a different asset of that character. But I think what New 52 did was they just completely wiped the slate clean and started from scratch with no knowledge of superheroes in general. So all these characters that you loved. Also, and I didn't bring it up in here, they put Wonder Woman and Clark Kent together. They put Wonder Woman and Superman together. I remember walking at Frank and Sons, walking down, and I looked to my left, and I saw the title, and I went, what? And the guy behind the counter said, yeah. And I went, wait, what? And he was like, yeah. I was like, Wonder Woman and Superman are now a couple? And he was like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Because when Action Comics opened for New 52, Clark had already been married to Lois Lane, and Lois Lane had already died at the very beginning, which was, I guess, their way of getting Wonder Woman and Superman together, which, where did that come from? Someone was probably like, well, Superman wears red and blue and Wonder Woman wears red and blue, so together they can be red and blue together. There's no connection of Wonder Woman to Superman at all. There never has been, never will be, never was. It was always Diana and Bruce, if anything, Justice League pre-52. I don't know why they smushed them together. And then there was like this whole thing where they're like, no, the most powerful woman, the most powerful man, but he's not even a man, he's an alien. The most powerful man are together, and they had to have like this discussion with government about like, well, but if one of you goes dark side, you're the only one that can take the other one out. And I was like, okay, hailing back to Tower of Babylon, whatever. I don't know. It was so stupid. So basically, don't read New 52. If you want to read some good titles, read Anything Infinite Crisis is a great New 52 title. I love that story arc. Also, just anything Teen Titans prior to New 52. Perfect. Absolutely spot on. And Flashpoint, read Flashpoint and then stop. And then wait for Rebirth and Convergence, and you'll be great. Go to Blackest Nights. Just skip New 52 altogether. Just go right over it to Convergence and what happens after. So, anyway, that's why I hate the New 52. Was that cohesive in any way, shape, or form? I don't know. That's just what I feel. It's something I feel really passionate about. I really love comic books, and that's what this whole series is going to be about. All the things I love and all the things I hate. I don't really have, like, unbiased opinions. I have nothing but biased opinions towards comic books. So next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about. There's so many things. Maybe we'll talk about Avengers versus X-Men, which is one of my favorites. Maybe we'll talk about my favorite partnerships and ships in comic books. Maybe we'll just talk about the movies. Maybe we'll just talk about how much I hate the DC movies. There's so many things we can talk about comic books. I absolutely love comic books. Again, if you can, support your local comic book store, especially during the pandemic. So many of them went out of business. Go support your local comic book store. Comic books are so cheap. I mean, I know we sell them like at Barnes & Noble and stuff, but issues that come out monthly, you have to support them. If we don't support them, they're going to disappear over time. Save that medium if you can. Anyways, I know, right? It's already been an hour. I talk for way too long. Anyways, now we go on to some announcements. Like I said, what's been here this whole time, the Coldest Water. If you're just joining me, Core has partnered with the Coldest Water. Look at how awesome this is. Bam! Let me throw up the link. I said I would throw up the link. There it is. Boom! If you check out this link, Coldest Water, and you actually just reference the Core Dance Crew, any purchase you make, a portion of that purchase goes back to sponsoring Core. It's really awesome. If you want to know if this is a good water bottle, it is super durable. Also, I just like that it comes in Hanji Yellow. What? And if you want to know if it is the Coldest Water, can you see that? See that? That's ice that's been in there since 3 days ago. And like I said in the beginning, I've been waiting for that ice to melt so I can... This is the problem I have. This is how cold the water is. I can't get my straw past the barrier of ice. Like, this is the Titanic and that's the iceberg, and it's just not... It doesn't go in all the way so I can put the lid on. So, like, if you want ice that never melts, I mean, plan it strategically, but it really works. Like, legitimately, this is the Coldest Water. Also, hydrate or dihydrate, y'all. Hey, yo, Coldest Water. Hit it up. If you want a new water bottle, oh, there it is. Oh. We'll have this up on our Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We'll have all that information on there. I'll also be featuring this every week on Beyond the Northern Wall. So make sure you're tuning in here. But man, look at like yellow. You guys, it's so pretty. It's just so pretty. We're real. We're official. Yay. Also, I will be holding a Work on Your Core masterclass on Friday. Y'all, there it is. A masterclass this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be teaching the Talk Dirty choreography. Yes, I will be breaking it down so that you too can also be Hanji at home and talk dirty to no one. I don't know. Who are you talking dirty to? I will be teaching that choreography, all that challenge, and then you're going to have to tag us on TikTok because you can also do the Talk Dirty challenge. So that will be going on. I'm pointing the wrong way. This masterclass will be going live on TikTok and on Instagram. But if you're a patron, you get to be in the Zoom chat with me. I'm going to talk with you guys. We're going to learn it all together, and then we're going to do a Q&A session at the end. I don't know if you guys have checked out the Instagram lately, but I was exploring time jump, Hanji. Don't know if I'm going to teach in that because I don't know how the Hanjo does it. That eye patch had me running into every single wall. Mad props to anyone that wears an eye patch. Y'all are amazing. Like, I couldn't even look in the mirror to fix my own eye patch because I just couldn't see. It was too intense. So this Friday, come join me at 6 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, that's like 9 p.m. If you're in London, I'm sorry, I don't know. You can Google it though, what the time frame is. Yeah. Also, make sure you are following us on TikTok. Once we hit 300K, the commander will return. So we are waiting for that. We also have just released one of many videos for an Adobe challenge we're doing on Instagram. So make sure you check out our Instagram, the Core Dance Crew. Like our posts, interact with it, save it to your collections, help us gain that social media interaction with everyone, and it'll be awesome. I think that was one. There is no. Also, oh no, I didn't add it on here. Check out our Instagram again. Tomorrow's the last day you can contribute to the Kaiban 0 giveaway that we're doing. We collaborated with Kaiban 0. Where's the things? Kaiban 0 gave us a tote and a hoodie. And I'm going to show it to you guys here. Once this focuses. Find me. I will find you. Camera. I am here. Look at my hair. This was not the color I intended, but it looks great. So, the tote defeated by a plastic bag. I can't even, you would think. There we go. In this giveaway, you could win this tote. Kaiban 0 looks so good. Screen printed by hand by everyone at Kaiban 0. So awesome. I legit use mine. You guys, I don't use reusable totes. I always forget to bring my reusable bags to the store. I've consistently brought my Kaiban 0 one because I just fold it up in my backpack and it's there. And you get this awesome hoodie. Y'all, I haven't even opened it yet. So it's a large one because we love that baggy look. Such nice material. There's the Kaiban 0 logo. Check this out. You get to win this hoodie. So cool. Look at that. Screen printed on the back. So nice. There it is. Also has printing on the sleeves. So good. I think that's... Oh yeah, that's Megumi on the sleeves. Oh no, that's all three of them. That's all three of them on the sleeves. And then, yeah, it's only on one side. It's a sassy one side. It's a nice big hoodie. Make sure you participate in the giveaway. All of the rules are on our Instagram. So we only have 2 items. You can either get the hoodie or you can either get the tote. And there's only one of each. That's all we have. So make sure you're participating. It ends tomorrow. By Friday, we're going to have the 2 winners of that. So make sure, on Instagram. And I think that's it. Unless Soulmate or Nifa, who's in the chat, I don't remember, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you're following us on all social media programs. platforms. And if you're not sure where we're at, check out our website at thecoredancecrew.com. All of our materials there. As always, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that you too can join me for these random talks that really don't need to happen. But hey, they're going to happen anyway once a week on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. with me, your host, Kayla Malari. Hey, Beyond the Northern Wall. So with that being said, I will see you all next week, or I'll see you this Friday for a little dirty talk dirty with the Hanjo learning the choreography. Yeah? Follow us on TikTok. We got to get to 300K. Why? I just want to. Love you all. Happy birthday again to Katie and to Brooke. You guys have a great Pisces season. Put your hands out. We're going to bring it in. So tomato on 3. 1, 2, 3. So tomato. See you next week for part 2 of the comic series. Have a great and wonderful day.